Hello, welcome back to the Rogerian Rhetoric. We don't really have a solid topic for today. We're just gonna kind of talk and catch up on some things that, you know, situations we might have faced in these last couple weeks because we've been pretty preoccupied and wanted to get something out there to, you know, keep it going.
Yeah, it's been busy both now full time working again. Both of us are going to school again, so it's been a little hard to find time to even sit down for a full hour or however long. Even harder to find time to like research the topics because
To research and
initially it
prep.
was like we're just gonna come on, we're gonna shoot the shit, and the podcast kind of developed, and now it's like we research everything for I don't know, maybe even I'd take a couple days looking stuff up and then kind of marinating in whatever the idea was. So hopefully we can get back to that. I'm sure we can, but for now we were just gonna kind of talk and I don't know, see where things go. This is more of just we're not dead podcasts. So if you're looking for some sort of sustenance or I don't know, if you're looking, this isn't going to be our normal. Let's just say that.
No, it's
This
not.
isn't
It's
this
not.
isn't the normal Rogerian rhetoric. Maybe we've been wanting to. I don't know.
We can talk about, plans for the podcast. We can talk about, the
Did
ideas
we
of the like structure that we're going for, stuff like
did we
that.
ever have a podcast where we like? I know you wanted to like introduce yourself and kind of like who is Wombat type deal. Did we ever do that and post that?
No, I don't think we did. This is probably a good opportunity for it.
Yeah, why not?
Why? Let's call
So
this a like introductions one.
yeah. So
Okay.
who is Wombat?
Who is Wombat? um, so my name is Wesley, not Wombat. But my internet alias is Vivacious Wombat. So I've just always gone by Wombat, and I think it sounds better for like purposes like this. Um, so yeah, that's where Wombat comes from. That's why you see, we say Orion and West, and then you see the constellation of Orion, and then the constellation of a Wombat. It's my alias.
Yeah, we were
Um,
kind of like really struggling to find something to kind of be the backdrop or
And
like
hey, maybe we've changed that a few times over by the time someone's going back and listening to this, but
I hope so. I hope we have a bunch of art at some point.
oh, I'm sure we will. We just got to come up with the ideas for it. It's pretty easy to get out there. Artists are
So
hungry for work.
yeah, tell the person a little bit about yourself. Tell the
Yeah,
viewer.
I'm I don't know what kind of information I want to give away. I'm in school for programming. That's a pretty big one. Um Pretty passionate about like software and web development and ideally game development. So, huge gamer. I'm the kind of guy that likes to figure out how the processes are working in the background while I'm playing a new game. Because I'm nerdy. Um, Fairly introverted. I'm not very good at confrontation, which is, I think, a big um, thing to say because that's kind of the purpose we're going into this for. Um, Working on a lot of self development and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live with
So
my girlfriend and two cats. It's pretty chill. I don't know if that's relevant information, but
anything's relevant.
oh yeah,
So you said um like you're working on yourself, like self help, and I remembered a conversation with someone who I found out later that I'm fairly sure is a narcissist.
okay.
Um, he's someone who comes to our martial arts class, and he's just like, since then, not since this scenario I'm thinking of, but like since he started to kind of fall flat, he's just completely given up.
Oh, he
Because
plateaued.
yeah, well, he didn't plateau; he gave up. It's
Oh.
I think it's a little different. Plateau, in my mind, when I think of that, it's like someone who has achieved the highest level of skill that they can. But he's just like, oh, well, I can't do it now. I
Mm.
give up. You know, it's the simplest thing. It's called ki. It's when you push air out very quickly to get to tighten your abdomen for striking. When you hit, you hear boxers like, tss, tss.
Yeah. Yeah, you
It's a
do hear
ki.
that. Okay.
And what that does is it tightens the abdomen. You do that when you fall so that your organs don't get all jostled around. It keeps you from getting winded, like losing your breath. Anyway, him and I were going to the shooting range. This was when he first started going. I was fairly new. I didn't know anything about him. He's like, "Hey man, I'm going to the shooting range. Do you want to come with?" Definitely, yeah, I'd love to go shoot stuff. So we go out. We're in the car ride, and he's telling me about some Monster Hunter type book he's reading or something.
Okay.
And he's like, "You read?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. I generally, if I read like a physical copy, I'm just reading, stuff that's gonna like informational stuff that it's gonna like impact me or help me, teach me discipline." And he looked at me and he went, "Oh, yeah, I don't need self-help books." And that really stuck with me to this day. Um, Especially now that he's someone who is just like completely given up because he struggled with something, like it, because I think he's got some sort of repressed trauma or something
Mm.
that it's difficult for him to make that ki sound. It's difficult for him to yell,
Mm.
or something. I don't know what it is. But as soon as it got difficult for him, he just gave up. And maybe if he read some self-help books,
Yeah.
he could get past that. But the
Yeah.
point being is that in his mind, there's something wrong with trying to research and get information and improve upon yourself and kind of mold yourself. He's in his mind, he is perfect already, which we're human. That's impossible. We all have something that we can develop or work on or become better
Right.
at or become more disciplined or something. Whatever it is that in your mind you want to do, we can all improve upon it. And maybe there's some sort of book or bullshit out there you can watch that gives you the drive or teaches you how to develop the drive to do that. I don't know. It's just
Right.
very odd to me that someone would just refuse to intake information. It refused to learn. I don't get it.
Yeah, I actually have quite a bit to say about that story. Um, First of all, I mean, this is nitpicky, but I think I disagree with your definition of plateau. Because the way I see it is like, when I was playing Counter Strike with you, and like, I didn't know like the spray patterns or whatever. I was plateaued with my ability because I was like at a point where I was kind of level in my ability, and I had to do a lot of work to get over that hump to start going up into my, next level of growing as a skill. And I plateaued for a while. I was consistently losing, and then I put in the effort to learn. I started going up again, and then plateaued again and stopped playing that time. But I don't think I think I would say peaked instead of plateaued for like the purposes of how you put that. Because a plateau is manageable, you know. It's where you have to realize that you have to put in that work, and I think that's what this person didn't have. You know, they plateaued and they realized or refused to accept that they needed to put in that amount of work and to learn and to accept input from other people that did know how to do it, you know, to improve themselves. And yeah, I think that's absolutely an ego issue when someone like that doesn't want to, because that person's still like going to the
They're still
classes,
active.
right?
Yeah.
And if you know that you're plateaued and you're going to the classes, then like what are you getting out of it? You know, if you're not going to put forth that effort to get over that hump and to keep improving yourself, then you're already done, you know? And that's an interesting kind of like ego block that was put on this person to not want to take help from other people.
Yeah.
And I get the hesitance with the word self-help, because there's a lot of psychobabble out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like actual bullshit that will waste your time.
If you believe it, you can achieve it.
Yeah, there's so
Reach
much
for the stars.
there's so much of it out there, and there's so much negativity with the words and with the, you know, self-help community and the resources. There's just a lot of like, oh no, that's bullshit.
Well, in my head, I did not qualify what I was telling him as self-help, because in my head, if it was self-help, like, that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm reading is just, you know, knowledge from people who are, you know, like commanders in the Navy SEAL operation teams,
Right.
or artists who are talking about the process of how they do something or where they think it comes from. I didn't qualify that as self-help in my own head, because I always thought self-help was like book on how to motivate, you know, like stuff like that.
Right.
But it's
and
all the same realistically. It's a book with information that is helping me, and I'm reading it, and I am self. So yes. But when he said it, it like was like slightly triggering. He was like, I don't read self-help. And I'm like, I don't, but fuck, that is what that is, isn't it? I didn't even realize it.
Well, it's that motivation, like you said, because, you know, sometimes people need to hear from someone like you said who is like, you know, a confirmed professional that's just talking about what they did and they draw motivation from that. And some people need to hear, oh, it was inside you. As I'm talking about it like it's bad, that's probably rude of me. You know, some people need to hear that, like, you know, it is inside of you and you can do it. And they need that kind of like self-help style motivation to get themselves. And it's just like, you know, different situations that you're in. I don't know. I think like just writing off self-help is silly, because people learn differently and people need different things. And there's infinite content out there, and there's always something that you can draw positivity and production from, you know.
Yeah. Do you buy the idea of like motive, like example, I'm gonna buy a treadmill so that I feel motivated to exercise?
Yes, I believe I've said those words before. I don't have a treadmill. But for example, when I was learning guitar, I kept my guitar next to my desk. And so, you know, if it was away in its case, I never touched it, but it was next to my desk. So every loading menu, every time I got bored, I picked it up and I started playing, you know? And I believe that if I had a treadmill, I would run on it, like while I watched TV. And I don't do jumping jacks while I watch TV. And like, I could motivate myself to do that, but I feel like the like instant gratification and the physical representation of it would help me to remind myself to be motivated, especially when it's that convenient.
I think it does motivate people, and I think that is the problem.
What do you mean by that?
Because you go, you buy a treadmill, or you put your guitar next to your desk, and you look at it and you go, okay, cool. I'm motivated right now. I'm going to play it a little bit. I'm going to run a little bit. And then a couple weeks go by, and that feeling of being motivated kind of dwindles away. And then maybe you just kind of stop playing the guitar, and then you just don't feel like running, and then you just stop doing it. That's the problem.
No, I can agree with that. It's that instant gratification rather than building the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, building the habits. I can agree with that. Well, where did that come from, if I can ask?
My brain.
Oh,
I don't know.
I didn't know if that was the situation.
We were just kind of talking about self-help and stuff like that, and something that I've learned from these self-help books that I've been reading is that a lot of times people want motivation, but I believe motivation as an emotion, and then it fades away. You know, you're motivated for periods of time, and if you want to become legitimately skilled at something, or you want to lose weight or work on your heart health or whatever it may be, everybody always wants to be motivated, but it's really about developing the discipline, because when you're motivated, you want to do it. But then when you don't want to do it, you just don't.
You don't do it. Yeah, discipline was the word I was looking for. I'm glad you said that.
So you gotta, it's stuff in the world is about, it's not about discipline, but you can get a lot more done. You can learn a lot more if you develop the discipline to just do it. And I think the way once you realize that discipline is as easy. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yep, I can still hear you.
Okay, discipline's as easy as just making the choice. That's yes or no. Like, am I going to do this today? If you're motivated, maybe not. But if you're disciplined, you don't have a choice. I'm going to do it. Well, you do have a choice. But if you develop the ability to choose to do it and choose to do it and choose to do it, I don't know. I'm just talking.
No, I like that mindset, because, you know, it's a lot of, like, you know, it's the mindset. It's not, I have the treadmill, so I have the opportunity to work out when I feel motivated. It's, I have the treadmill, I am going to run every day.
Yeah,
and then maybe sometimes you don't. It's not, oh, you know, I'm not running every day anymore. It's still, I am going to run every day. And the next day you're faced with that same decision and with the same mindset. And you can't see, that's something that I'm still getting over, is falling out of that mindset when I stop doing it. Because you can take breaks, like, you can not do it one day, but it has to be in your head in a way that's like, okay, I am actively choosing to skip this. Do I feel good about that, and do I know that I'm going to get back into it, you know?
And discipline, when you become very disciplined in something and you choose to do it often, like I'll go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week pretty much. But I'm pretty disciplined. So something comes up, or maybe I'm just not quite feeling it. Maybe I'm hurting or something like that, and I go, I'm not gonna go, because I'm generally very disciplined, and I go pretty much every week. When you're disciplined and you do it so often, taking the day off's not really a big deal. Because I feel like the discipline gives you more freedom to kind of play with that. Like, I'm gonna run Monday through Friday, or I'm gonna run every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
You run every day, you're disciplined, you do it for so long straight. One day you're just hurting. You take the day off, maybe you just take a couple days off because you
Mm-hmm.
don't feel good, but you you haven't let that go. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. I mean, you
But
do Monday, Wednesday, Friday the gym. Maybe you're gone for a week. Maybe you miss Monday, Wednesday. I mean, you go Friday, and then next week you go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know,
yeah,
like it's.
I think there's a momentum you get too when you're doing something often like that. Like if you're running every day and you got that good momentum going, it's easier to do it the next day and the next
Yeah,
day and the next
yeah,
day.
and
And vice versa.
controversially, yeah, if
Yeah.
or conversely rather, if you stop a day and then you stop the next day, it's so much easier to not do it anymore, and that's the hard part that
Yeah.
discipline needs to overcome.
Exactly. That is exactly where the discipline comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was trying to say.
We
That's
got
why I
there.
restarted the
We got
scenario
there.
because I was like, that's not explaining my point. But like
um,
you run every day, you start to lose that momentum and you start to gain the negative momentum. The discipline comes into play and you go, nope, I'm going to run. And then you do it.
yeah, I think that's good. We're about a third in. You've mentioned your martial arts a little bit. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay. Yeah, I forgot I hadn't done that yet.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
you
got
sure
off on
haven't.
a tangent. Well, my name is Orion. My name's not lame like Wes, so I figured
Just keep
I could just
Orion.
go ahead.
Yeah, all right.
Go ahead and just use that as my screen name. I'm also very modest if you haven't gotten that. No, Wes is a cool name. But I
Don't patronize me.
I do I just got a job in heating and cooling. I'm going to school for that and I'm learning. I'm working on my certifications for that. So hopefully someday soon we'll have some money rolling in so we can put it into the podcast and stuff like that. And then obviously, as I've said, I do martial arts. I do not. I say martial arts, and immediately the first thing everybody thinks of is karate. No, I don't do karate. I do it's self defense. It's combatives. It's just like, you know, it's hard to explain because like I don't want to sound like whenever I tell people about this, it's like two things happen. Either they think I'm a karate guy,
Karate
which
Kid.
nothing wrong with that. It's just not what we do. And then if I explain it in depth, they look at me like a fucking crazy person because I'm talking about stabbing people in the face. Like we
I would describe it as the most efficient and quick way to get yourself out of danger.
yeah.
Like it's not about flair. It's not about like your physical form as much as some of the other like meditation or exercise based ones are. It's more of a practical, here's the situation, you need to get out because you are in danger kind of self-defense class, but it is would be considered a martial arts, so it's not like grab your pepper spray as much.
But it is, we talk about that a lot.
Of course, yeah,
that shit works.
But like when you say self-defense class, it's not nearly as in-depth as what you do.
Yeah, I think a good way to describe it is like imagine a martial arts, take out any low probability move, and then you're left with what we do. It's all high probability, no spinning kicks, no none of that. Anyway, I do that stuff. I am in and out of the gym as much as possible, kind of because of the martial arts. Pretty much everything I do is revolved around the martial arts and learning about scenarios and stuff like that. I don't know why. I also like video games. I like to shoot stuff in video games. That's it. I'm pretty simple. Not much to me.
Yeah, it's about what we have time for.
Yeah. What time are we at?
I meant in our daily lives.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have this great ability to like say things that I'm really passionate about and make them sound like it's nothing. You know what I mean? like like something that I revolve my entire life around. Like, yeah, just do that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I can't. I don't know how to describe it in any way that makes it sound interesting. And when I do, I find a way to make it feel pushy and stuff like that. I don't understand how to talk. That's why we do the podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure over the span of the many of these that we'll do, you know, it'll be more understood.
Yeah, yeah. The reason I do the podcast, the reason I got Wes to do the podcast is because I have found with everything going on in the world recently, there's a huge lack of um, difficult conversations to be had. People pick a side,
Mm-hmm.
and then they hold that side like
Mm-hmm.
it's the end of the world, and there's never a middle ground. There's never a nobody wants to hear anybody else. I think that's a big part of it. Nobody wants to just like take a moment and let the other person give their side, and then vice versa. It's just like verbal war constantly all over the
Right.
internet, and I run into people who complain about that in person, and then they proceed to like explain to me why their side is right and why the hill they have taken up is the correct one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, well, what about, the other side? And it just seems like people don't even know that they're the problem. Have you ever ran into that?
I actually haven't. I've not ran into someone like that. That like.
I
Well,
work trades. I work
guess,
with a lot of older guys, so I wonder if that's maybe it.
Let's see. I don't know. I hear that in. Not as in the same way that you mentioned, but in religion is where I really would compare that, because if I talk to, I've talked to and grown up with a lot of Christians, and I hear them say, oh, I wish this person would listen to me and start doing these things so that I can be in sound mind, that they will be, will go to heaven or have a nice afterlife. So it's kind of that same, like, I wish people would listen to me and compromise and change their point of view, but then those people will never, like, consider an alternative,
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
I know that's a sensitive example, so, like, we don't have to keep on that, but...
No, that's a fine example. Religion specifically is more difficult because two reasons. For one, part of Christianity is about helping other people come to God.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second part of it is, if they don't believe that that's how things work, then they themselves cannot be saved.
Right.
If they're not fully in that mindset that, okay, this is the one way, this is the truth. If you don't believe it like that, then you can't be saved. So that's why you get Christians specifically that will not budge, and then they truly hurt when they see people
that also will not budge.
Yeah, would not come to their religion, because for them, that person's, for them, they're gonna live forever, and then they see that person not doing that, and then so I think that's a little different, but it's the same thing.
It is different, and
it's the same thing.
I always have felt super flattered when someone was like, I just care about your well-being with that,
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, I don't necessarily believe in that, but I felt nothing but flattered. But the point is, in other situations, in politics especially,
yeah, that's what I was going to use as an example.
It's a very the way that it's portrayed is a very specific. You have your opinion, and someone else has the exact opposite opinion, and those people are your enemy. And that's just kind of how it's it's painted that, like, that it's how it works, you know? That's how the world is
Yeah.
shaped, is either you win or they win, and the world is how you want or it's
Yeah.
not. And it's
And
really tough to,
that's exactly
yeah.
what I would want to do if I was the guy in charge and I wanted to get as much power as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I would turn all the people that have the power against each other so that they couldn't do anything to me. You know, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm just saying if
That's
you
what you
know,
would do, yeah.
that's what I would do. But so you get people, let's
Mm-hmm.
use a Democrat for example.
Mm-hmm.
Let's use a controversial one, but we all know the opinions of each side. You know, you got a Democrat over here, let's say pro-choice.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats say no, across the board, no. Liberals say yes, let everybody choose whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The Democrat, or let's just say the person who chooses no, you can't do that, they have good reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
And then so does the people that say, hey, we need that option.
Right.
But what it boils down to, in my opinion, is that first of all, I shouldn't have a say what happens to someone else's body, regardless. It shouldn't be up to, you know, why, if we have freedom, how can we tell someone else what they can do with their body?
Right.
And then secondly, it's gonna happen anyway. You tell some lady who just got raped and she's pregnant that she has to have the baby, no fucking way. She's gonna find a way to abort it, and she's probably gonna have to kill herself doing it. And that's part of the problem. You look back in the history of abortions, and you get people using hangers, going to like hotels and getting it done under the table and stuff like that, which you get more people dying that way. And I'm getting political. I'm not meaning to. I was trying to use that as an example.
I can roll with that. I can roll with that.
The point being,
it's kind of like
the answer to everything. The answer to both sides, the common ground, is that I heard Duncan Trussell,
huh? Okay.
Duncan Russell? I don't know what his name is. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast. It's the guy who founded the Joe Rogan podcast with him, I believe. He said that it doesn't matter which side you're on, everybody just wants to be happy. They just all have different roads to get there. And depending on, like, you got the liberals who are trying to impede on the Democrats' way of getting to their happiness, and then you have the Democrats, because the majority of them, their religion, they're trying to stop the liberals from their road to happiness. And like, everybody's stepping on each other's feet,
right?
And ultimately everybody just wants to be happy.
Yeah, that's what we all want. And the issue I see with that is that we, as the general population, or I personally maybe, feel like I am forced into choosing whether I am, you know, in your example, Democratic or liberal. Like, I feel like there are only those two sides, and I am labeled as one of those due to my opinions. First of all, they have opinions on every matter, and you're not going to agree with every single resolution that one side or the other has come to. So why put a label on it in the first place? It's silly, and it feels like I don't have a choice for a middle ground when the answer is not so black and white. In your example, and in another one, say gun control, one side is saying, let anyone have guns, you know? Pay the money for the thing, go to the short class, and you can have your guns, whatever, it's America, it's free. And the other side is saying, no, we have to get rid of those because they're dangerous. Do not let people have them. And we go at each other, and you have to pick one of those sides, and we're arguing, and no one's talking about, like, hey, let's extend our background checks. Let's extend the classes. I know you had some firsthand experience with how kind of scary easy it is to get your gun license. Like, no one is talking about the middle ground solutions. No one's talking about, you have however many, like 50 hours or something that you have to drive a car with someone before you're allowed to drive it on your own. But that's not the case with guns. Like, you just, it's, and okay, I guess that's like a stance in itself. But the point is, if both of the sides, sides that have been made will come together and say, all right, this is clearly an issue. What can we do to make it the best that we can? And it's never going to be perfect, but that's just how things are,
Nobody wants to compromise.
No one wants to compromise. And I think
you learn about how marriages work. You go ask an old person who's been married for 50, 90, 100 years, whatever. The one thing that they're going to tell you is learn to compromise. And we don't want to do that. The funny thing is that you just mentioned the middle ground thing. If I go hang out with some Democrats and we're talking politics, they call me a liberal. If I go hang out with some liberals and we talk about politics, they call me a Democrat.
And that's because you've just disagreed with, like, one of the things that side label has taken a hard stance on. You're not going to be.
And it's because that I have chosen what I do and don't agree with across the board. I haven't just gone, ooh, I want to be a liberal. I think this way, and I don't fall into a specific category. I see things, I go, what is the route that could allow everybody to be happy? And specifically with guns, let's talk about a CCW. And people may disagree. I know that the guy who took the class or taught me the class believes very strongly that he wants this to be as easy as possible, and he believes that just like seeing the person fire the gun and he sees them do the actions and he goes, okay, I think they're safe enough, and he lets them go, right? He it's like that's not quite what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that his reasoning is valid, and I see his point. But I personally just think firearms are they are dangerous. Now, you got the people, you set a firearm down and they're like, okay, how dangerous is it? Is it going to shoot you? Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a tool that can easily be misused.
That's a good way to put it.
It's a tool that is misused very often. It's a tool that people accidentally shoot themselves with all the time. With that being said, if you look at some of the most effective military units in the world, what sets them aside? What makes them better than the other military units? I'm asking you.
Oh, you're asking me.
Yeah, what sets them aside? What makes them so much better?
What makes one military better than another?
So let's put the Navy SEALs up against some, just your Army guy. What makes the Navy SEAL so much more superior? Training.
Oh yeah.
It's the time put in, the amount of training that the Navy SEAL does. Now, I'm not putting Army guys down, not at all. Those guys are fucking fantastic. I respect the hell out of anyone who does any of those jobs. But I think most Army guys would agree with me that Navy SEALs are highly effective. Let's just say that. The reason they are so much more effective is because the amount of training done. Now, if we apply that same knowledge that we have, that's a fact, right, to guns now, people on the left that are scared of guns, they want to get rid of guns, maybe it would make them feel more comfortable if the people that they knew had guns trained and worked very hard and are confirmed to know what the fuck they're doing with them.
Yeah, no, I think
Plus,
that's
I
a good
think it would be
solution.
awesome to have these outlets to get this type of training too. Now, there's tons of ways that a person can go out and get these trainings, but it's a little scary to me to think I live in a drywall square,
Mm-hmm.
a drywall box, to know that a bullet can rip right through it with no
Mm-hmm.
problem, and maybe my neighbor just right over here is fiddling around with their gun, you know, being negligent. Like, we could take that away by proper training. Someone who's going to fiddle with their gun and be really negligent, not going to put in the time
Right.
to come.
They're gonna do the bare minimum. They're gonna get what they want out of it, and then they won't necessarily have the discipline and the respect for the tool. I mean, I like the way you put it when you said a tool that can easily be misused. Because you look at shoot, I don't know, a sledgehammer, and you're using it, and someone goes, "All right, make sure no one's walking by. Make sure you don't swing it back and hit somebody." That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen very often, but I'm sure it has. Um, it's a tool that can be misused, but a firearm is a tool that can very, very easily be misused, and I like the way you put that because of how powerful it is. And even
Mm-hmm.
you hear stories, whether to scare you or not, but I know it's real. If someone shoots at an intruder in their home, they are not considering the fact that that bullet can go through the wall and hit their neighbor.
I told someone that I wouldn't use my gun in my house for uh, self-defense,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like shook.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, 90% of the places that I point at are not safe.
Yeah.
Not for my neighbors.
And it's
And
maybe not likely, but why would you take the chance of
yeah.
someone being in the wrong place at the wrong time? That stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it
And
happen to you. And
this is where the negligence applies. This is where training would make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
They say hollow point wouldn't go through 2 sheets of drywall. Yeah, it'll go through about, I think it was 14 when I Googled it, when I watched someone do it. 14 walls, 14 sheets of drywall. Let me think. There's probably 4 in between me and my neighbor on the high end, right? It's probably 2, but we'll just say 4. If it goes through 14, it'll go through every single apartment building.
Yeah. And that's where, that knowledge is important.
But like, I can have this conversation all day, but I do like guns. I appreciate that I can own guns. I wouldn't want to live somewhere that I couldn't own guns.
Right.
Because it is a powerful tool, I want that tool with the people that are supposed to have power in the within the government. If you want people to have power, what gives you power? I don't know. Guns give you power. Money gives you power. And I don't know. I think making it more difficult is a good thing. But the argument is that you lose power when you take and make it more difficult.
Right. That's fair. And as a result, from what you said, you're not, you're on the side of pro guns, but you're not saying everyone should be able to, get them whenever they want. It shouldn't be easy, and there should be more compromise with that. And I think that's I think we took a 25-minute roundabout way of saying that, we want to be able to have conversations with people that may be set in their ways on this or much, much, much smaller scales, even to be able to listen to them and have them listen to us, and to be open-minded in the fact that there is not a black and white answer for most things in this world.
Yeah. So yeah, we took a whole long time to say the reason we have the podcast is because I would like to have the ability to tell these people that are set in their ways I disagree,
Mm-hmm.
and then be able to have a conversation with them without internally screaming the entire time. Which it's really, I don't know if any of you have anxiety, but if you're ever having a difficult conversation and you have anxiety,
Oh yeah.
literally
Oh
inside your
yeah.
head, it's like blood curdling screaming, and you're just trying to keep it together. It's really hard
It's
to tell
butterflies. It's seeing
someone,
red. It's
yeah,
adrenaline, which
it's
is
really hard
not
to
cool
tell
for a
someone your
conversation.
opinion. Yeah, it's hard to keep it together, tell them
Mm.
what you actually think when internally it's just like just constantly,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, that whole
And
conversation was I want to be able to talk to people.
yeah, and I'm a big believer in if you want to see a difference in the world, be that difference in the world. It can be as small as well, here's a fun example. So I stopped using straws a while ago because I
Save the
learned
turtles.
well, I mean, not even that. I mean, I learned that um obviously they're bad for the environment because they're like skipped and they're not recycled and they end up in oceans and in landfills. And I was like, that's something small that I can get myself into the habit of doing. So I took like half a year to get into the habit. I got metal straws, which I actually like better. It's satisfying for some reason. And I went to Starbucks last week and they told me that they don't have straws anymore. They now have sippy cup lids. And like I feel like the small action that I took, many other people took that same action, and it made an impact in larger corporations. We were noticed, and I feel like we do have that power, and I believe that you can be whatever small changes you want to see, and if we start by doing this, and we start by trying to get other people to have these kinds of conversations and to be open-minded, then eventually maybe in politics the left and the right wing or whatever will compromise, and we can have that kind of world once the new generation rises up to power and things are different. I want to help fuel that because I think that's how people should be able to talk to each other.
I agree with some of that. How much time do you have?
We're looking at 13 more minutes for an hour.
Okay. Well, I think we can hopefully I'll try and keep it somewhat short then. I have an issue when I don't have my thoughts fully planned out. I struggle to articulate, so sometimes it ends up being a 25-minute explanation for like, and that's why the door doesn't close.
I can try to help you out or something. We'll get there.
So the straws.
Sure.
I think that is an important thing that we see that our actions have a impact.
Okay.
I worry that situations like the straws save the turtles is just like a viral feel good thing, because it to me, I see that it is an action that people are taking. It's a small thing that people can change that I think is an illusion to making an actual impact in the bigger picture, because the issue's not the straws. The issue is that the straws are ending up in these places.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the ability that people have to make changes like that, but what I see, because I'm somewhat I tend to look at the bad things. I don't have the ability to like see the good in people. I always see the worst in people, unfortunately. It's a really toxic trait of mine. But with the straw ordeal, I see the corporations going, "Oh, no more straws" and stuff like that. And what I see is
it's a publicity
they're
stunt.
marketing it.
Yeah.
It's all about
No, I can
Which
agree with
either
that.
way, it's a good thing, yes. But I think it's a feel-good answer, the easy way out of something that's a bigger problem.
So it is, and I am talking about a small problem that, was solved. But what if it's something else? What if someone has, I don't know, a solution to landfills, and they start doing that, and then that's what catches on and what is built up, and then corporations are like, oh, we don't have to use landfills. I have no idea what that would be. But even if it is just a feel good thing, it's still making an impact. We're still not going to have straws for however much that's worth. And like, I see that too in companies when this whole quarantine thing started. I'm not going to give specifics, but I saw companies that were using it as like, here's what we are doing. Look at how high and mighty we are compared to our competition.
In these trying times.
In these trying
we're here
times,
for you.
we're
Come eat
helping
our
you.
cheeseburger.
Exactly. And many different types of businesses did that, but it did help. And I looked at a lot of those things, and they were all positive things. It just seemed like a schemy race to be the first one to do that. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And it could even be the case where the CEO of the company has the best intentions and was using metal straws way before any of us. And then, sees the impact and spends, however much money to make that difference. I don't know. I still
think it is a bad thing because you have straw situation, right? You have a situation that is a big problem, and then the most people are willing to do is just not use that thing. But the straws are still in the ocean. There's still a giant pile of trash. There's still straws being produced. 90% of the restaurants still use straws. Like, it's not, it's, I think the issue with it, the reason I see it as a bad thing is because I think it's an illusion that people are making an impact. I don't think you are making as big as impact as you feel you are. And I think that's why it's a bad thing.
So,
and I don't get me wrong, I stopped using straws. When I walk around and I see a piece of trash, I pick it up.
Of course.
And I'm willing to do my part, whatever it is, but it's not enough if we're talking about really making an impact.
See, there's where I can agree, but I think we might be just saying different things. Because I'm talking about the small things that people can do in their daily lives making an impact. Like, I can't stop manufacturing of straws. I cannot go pick the straws out of the ocean and do something more productive with them. I can't solve those problems.
Do is stop using
what
them.
I can do is stop using straws.
Right.
And what I see that me stopping using straws, that sounded weird, had an effect is that straws are no longer being distributed in some companies that wanted to capitalize off of that, and then maybe as a result they stop being manufactured 10-20 years down the line. And I'm sure if I had the money and the energy and the time, I could find a way to insert myself into those larger issues, but I can't in my position. And I can't force people to be open-minded. I can't force people to listen to what I'm saying, but what I can do is next time I'm caught up on something that someone told me that I was wrong about, I can, hold back my ego and my anger, and I can consider what they say and accept that I could be wrong. And that's kind of where I was going with that, is that
I hear
we're
you.
not making the large impact, but I think we are making bigger of an impact than we think to the people around us even.
Maybe. And that's why I also go along with it. That's why I also generally don't use straws. That's why I pick up trash, because I see that. But then I get frustrated when I realize and I think about the big picture. I get really frustrated because I'm like, I'm just this person, and there's nothing I can do really. I don't
It
know
is
what
really
I can do.
frustrating. It's daunting.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to. I feel like everything comes back to our government just kind of being shitty. Like,
Definitely greedy.
yeah,
Capitalism. I don't know.
and I'm all for capitalism because I don't know that there's another alternative that would work better.
Hmm.
You can't convince me that socialism's the answer because that's what China is and that's what Russia is.
I mean,
and
that's those extremes that we're talking about again. It's not so black and white, you know? There's not an easy answer.
Yeah, but it's frustrating because the government could, like, hypothetically, if we had a government that was better at getting things done, could have cleaned up the ocean already, could have stopped the ridiculous amount of pollution. We could have found answers, but no one wants to agree. No one wants to compromise, and it's really frustrating because it's destroying the world.
Yeah.
You know, I had a Christian tell me that they're not worried about pollution because the Bible says the world's gonna burn anyway. So they were like, well, so I'm not super worried about it.
Oh no. Well, we don't have time to unpack all of that.
No, we don't. But like in my head, and I think I tried to say this to him, but I was like, dude, don't you think like maybe God is like, hey man, I know that humans are gonna fuck this up, so I'm gonna put this in there. Like the Earth's gonna burn, and it's your fucking fault. You know?
I'm just saying, why can't Earth be our utopia? You know, why can't this life be, you know, the perfect afterlife that we're going for? I don't know. That's
people don't want to read self-help books.
Well, hey, there's the title of our podcast. I think we took it around. All right, that's about time for us. I think that's a good stopping point.
I hope you guys have a good night.
Well, hey, if we touched on something and didn't go as in depth as you wanted, because I have that problem in podcasts a lot, you know, say something, ask some questions.
Yeah.
Topic ideas, you know. We're open to all of that.
Maybe applications to use, really anything. Really, if we get a single comment, I'll be really excited. That's cool.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
But yeah, just remember whenever you're listening to one of our podcasts, don't take it too seriously, guys. We're talking shit. I literally named the initial thing shit talk because that's what we're doing. We're just sitting down.
Yeah, we're shooting the shit, man.
We're just kind of shooting the shit. Okay, so don't take anything too seriously. If you disagree,
then
be a normal
please,
human.
By all means,
be an intelligent human. And
you're anticipating some aggression here.
There's some aggression because, like, you read the YouTube comment, it's just like high-pitched screeching sounds, and like, you can disagree. That's fine. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, hey, cool. If you've made it this far, you know why we're doing this, so you can come to us and disagree.
Penis.